Hello everyone, EB the Original Master here, and today is Sunday, March the 26th, 2017, and it is time for another SpongeBob SquarePants episode review today on Sunday, March 26th. And you're probably wondering, why am I uploading SpongeBob reviews every other Sunday? The reason why is because that I'm trying to keep up with these episodes that I haven't seen on TV, so I have to watch them online because I wasn't interested into watching it when it came out. But yes, I'm sitting here in the exact same location as my last SpongeBob review, which was SpongeBob's Place and Plankton Gets the Boot. Today I'll be reviewing Life Insurance and Burst Your Bubble. So both of these episodes were pretty decent, I guess. I mean, yeah, they were pretty good, decent episodes. And just like my last review, I will not be reviewing these episodes in full depth, meaning that I will not cover every bit of information that the episode had. I'll just give you guys some synopsis of what my favorite scenes are. So in the episode Life Insurance, SpongeBob ends up waking up having a very clumsy morning. I mean, he just wakes up and just ends up like hurting himself all the time. So he wakes up, falls down the stairs. He then ends up in a toaster. I mean, he's having a really bad morning. Then a TV commercial comes on giving him life insurance. So basically, SpongeBob thinks or thought that life insurance, that if you sign the contract, you won't get hurt anymore. So that's basically this entire episode is SpongeBob and Patrick getting life insurances where they can't injure themselves anymore. I think a really funny gag of this episode is where SpongeBob and Patrick are like having a pillow fight outside. Then Squidward came outside, and then he told them that they can't hurt themselves while using pillows. So Squidward gave Patrick a rake, and this scene actually had me laughing a bit. Is when Patrick smacked Squidward with the rake. That was pretty funny. And then Squidward like flew all the way into his window, into his house. Like Patrick's swipe from the rake was so powerful it caused Squidward to fly into his house. So yeah, that was pretty funny. And so yeah, that was pretty hilarious. And then another funny moment from this episode is where SpongeBob and Patrick built like a dangerous obstacle course where Squidward had to encounter to see if his life insurance will really work. So basically, this whole episode kind of lied because there's like this one part in the episode where there was a storm cloud and it was so a bolt of lightning struck SpongeBob and Patrick over the fact that they had the life insurance contracts, but they ended up getting hurt. So then, Squidward then proceeds to do the obstacle course where Mr. Krabs came as a cameo, and he told SpongeBob and Patrick, the real truth about life insurances. So it's basically where you pay money when someone dies. That's what Mr. Krabs stated in the episode. So then SpongeBob encourages Squidward not to do the obstacle course. He does it anyway, and then he ends up getting himself hurt. And so at the very ending of the episode, Squidward proceeded through the obstacle course. He smacked his face against a school bell, releasing the high school students out. Over the fact this is 2017, I don't know why they still use school bells. But yeah, school bells are still a thing, but the way how they're programmed are different than the way they were programmed back then. So yeah, overall, this episode was pretty decent. I'll give this episode a solid 6 out of 10. Now, here are the cons of this episode. The cons in this episode was the stupid sea spider joke. So basically, Squidward had hair, it was like the small piece of hair on Squidward's head, which is obviously a mustache. So it's basically Squidward is actually wearing a mustache on his head. If you've seen the episode, you'll know that that was a mustache on his head. So SpongeBob and Patrick kept thinking that was a sea spider, so they tried to like step on it. That was the gag that gotten really stale. I thought that gag was pretty dumb and bland. But overall, throughout the entire episode, it was kind of, it was kind of funny a little bit. But the whole episode about life insurance of SpongeBob and Patrick trying not to hurt him, not to try to not. Sorry if I stuttered. SpongeBob and Patrick not trying to hurt themselves. That was a pretty weird, unique concept, and I think Nickelodeon probably nailed at it pretty well. So yeah, life insurance gets a 6 out of 10 in my book. It's not as good as Mimic Madness and the Goodbye Krabby Patty episode, but it was alright. Now let's move on to its sister episode, Burst Your Bubble. So we're about to review Burst Your Bubble right now. So the episode begins, another terrible day at SpongeBob's boating school. So yeah, we all know the constant running gag. If you see my Nickelodeon rant that I did yesterday, I told that SpongeBob keep reusing the boating school episodes where he can't get his license and whatnot. So yeah, it's that scenario again. SpongeBob is doing a very bad driving test again. He keeps crashing into things. SpongeBob, this isn't anything new. You always fail your driving test. Why do you always have to get upset? It's the same thing all the time, Nickelodeon. It's starting to get really annoying. It's starting to get really stale. So yeah, so SpongeBob is upset that he can't get his license because he sucks at driving so bad. So then he walks home very sadly. He then sees Larry the Lobster, who appears as a cameo. Yes, he has a cameo appearance in this episode. So yeah, so he has like this muscle car and whatnot. So he has a muscle car. SpongeBob sees Larry's car. He's upset that Larry has his own car. And so SpongeBob's upset that he sees Larry with this car, so he walks away sad. Now, here are the highlights of this episode. So we get this really funny scene of Mr. Krabs twerking while washing his car with Pearl's shorts. So yes, Pearl, his daughter, his adopted daughter, he was using her shorts to wash his car. So he was like listening to some music, twerking, while he was washing his car with Pearl's shorts. That was pretty funny, Nickelodeon. I had to give you credit on that. That was a really funny moment, and I actually laughed a little bit on that scene. SpongeBob becomes sad that he sees Mr. Krabs with his car, then he walks home, then he finds Patrick, who has his own car, but he doesn't drive it. He honestly didn't drive it. So what happened was that he decided to like throw a frisbee at it. I don't know why that was even a thing. So Patrick appeared as a cameo, Mr. Krabs appeared as a cameo. There were so many cameos in this episode. So then SpongeBob sitting by his garage, all upset, and then he was blowing bubbles. He blew a bubble shaped like Mrs. Puff. Oh, SpongeBob, here's your license, and then it just pops. And then that's when SpongeBob decides to drive a bubble boat. He creates a bubble boat. Oh yeah, I forgot. I mentioned that I wasn't gonna do the hand gestures anymore, so I'm gonna stop doing the hand gestures. So yeah, he creates a bubble boat. He starts driving it. And then it becomes a running theme now. So basically this whole episode is SpongeBob creating a bubble boat, and then everybody wants one. See, now that's another con with this episode. This is another episode where a character sees something and they want to be involved in it. This is almost like Sandy's Nutmare, where Sandy made the little peanut butter, C-nut butter, whatever it was called, or something. Yeah, it was kind of that episode where it was a desperate for greed. So yeah, so everybody sees SpongeBob's bubble boat. They want bubble boats. So SpongeBob creates all these bubble boats for everyone to drive in. And so yeah, so that's basically this entire episode. Mrs. Puff's boating school isn't in session because everybody's driving in bubble boats. And since they're in a bubble boat, you don't need a license for that. So SpongeBob then teaches Mrs. Puff how to drive a bubble boat. And that's where things took a turn for the worse, where SpongeBob takes Mrs. Puff out in a freeway. So Mrs. Puff is driving in her bubble boat with SpongeBob as her teacher, which I thought it was pretty creative because we never seen SpongeBob teaching Mrs. Puff anything. That was usually Mrs. Puff teaching SpongeBob stuff. But this is an episode where SpongeBob creates bubble boats. He teaches Mrs. Puff how to drive a bubble boat, and then that's where things take a turn for the worse when they go out in a highway. So basically, they were driving in these bubble boats. And then they were like, so Mrs. Puff was crashing into everybody. So everybody was about to fly up to the surface. SpongeBob creates all these bubbles to save everyone. And then the ending of the episode is where the cops find out that the bubble boats were causing trouble. And then Mrs. Puff just like pops at the very ending of the episode. So burst your bubble. I'm sorry. So burst your bubble. This episode was pretty creative. I like the fact that SpongeBob is teaching Mrs. Puff how to drive a bubble boat. Mr. Krabs twerking while washing his car was pretty funny. And this whole episode was actually pretty good. It was actually an okay episode. It wasn't boring like SpongeBob's Place, and Plankton gets the boot from the last episode that I reviewed. So yeah, both this. So sorry, Burst Your Bubble gets a 8 out of 10 for creativity. So yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed my review for Burst Your Bubble and Life Insurance from SpongeBob. I'll put the link of the episode online in the description below. And no, I did not saw this episode on Kids Cartoons. I saw it on a different website. So I'll put the link of that website in the description for you guys to check the episode out if you haven't seen it yet. With that said, Burst Your Bubble and Life Insurance were two pretty decent episodes. Now, here are the following episodes that I still have yet to review. I have to review Krusty Catering, Snooze You Lose, Trident Trouble, and Plankton Retires. So Plankton Retires and Trident Trouble came out last Saturday. No, not last Saturday. Yesterday. They came out yesterday. So yesterday is when Trident Trouble and Plankton Retires came out. So I have to go online, find those episodes, watch that, give a review on those. Then I also have to review Krusty Catering and Snooze You Lose. Hope you guys enjoyed this review for Burst Your Bubble and Life Insurance, and I'll see you guys next time with more SpongeBob reviews. Sayonara.